I've been thinking a lot about compromises lately. Welcome to LizCapism. Today, I'll be making the Laughing Moon 138 Regency Gown pattern as part of the Relaxed Regency event that RetroClod is hosting. While I do that, I'll be talking about some things that this project has got me thinking about. I won't be talking about the making process so much. I might add some text overlay at various steps as an FYI, but if you want to know more about how the gown is made, I urge you to watch some of the videos I will be linking in the description and in the cards. Lots of people have made a gown from this pattern. Claude started this project because she needed something to do while she was mostly stuck in bed, unable to sit for long periods of time at her sewing machine. And I know that this is one of her happy places, so I wanted to help her keep busy and cheer her up while she was unable to be there. Seeing as I took 4 months to get around to making the gown, I don't know how much I succeeded, but luckily there were others who quickly took up the charge and made some fantastic gowns. So about compromises. We define compromise in one of two ways. One is to settle a dispute by mutual concession, so you got to choose the movie, so I get to decide where we eat. The other is to accept standards that are lower than is desirable. So choosing a good mic instead of a good webcam if the software isn't compatible, you are compromising video for the sake of audio. I can't be sure if this is true in other languages, but in English at least, I think that these two meanings are so often confused that we think of them as the same. Part of the problem might be the suggestion that lower standards are always bad, or that high standards are always good, and conversely, the idea that a concession is a sign of weakness or a failure. As long as I have been taking part in the costuming community, a conversation about access and inclusion comes up regularly. In the time I have spent writing this script, several events over several months have occurred to reawaken the discussion again and again. It comes in a few different forms, but it can always be boiled down to access. Who can access this hobby and the platforms that we use to showcase it? Who can be a costumer? There are two answers. The first is simple, and the second is complex and messy, so let's break it down. The first answer is everyone can access costuming. Literally everyone. If you make a costume, you're a costumer. See? Easy. Job done. Now about that second answer. The second answer is you can costume if you have money and/or time and/or health. The devilishly complex issue here is that both of these answers are true. So if you're not quite sure how you feel about that answer, or if you're not sure how to process those two together, what you're experiencing is called cognitive dissonance. You're facing down two things that you acknowledge to be true, but are messing with your perception of reality because you've never put them together before. It's a fun emotion. I highly recommend it. Let's sit with it for a moment before I expound further. It's impossible to break all of this down in one video, so let me see if I can get to the basics. On the one hand, you read or watch people saying, "Come in, everyone can do it." On the other hand, the voices and images that rise above the rest tell a very specific story. The beautiful videos, the expensive fabrics, the elaborate costumes, adherence to historical resources, intense knowledge of the craft. This is what people see, even if what they hear is anyone can do it. And here's the thing, none of these people are lying. The people who are trying to open the door aren't intentionally acting like the bully holding your lunch money above your head and saying, just grab it, it's right there. Except that we are, even if we don't know that we're doing it, and I count myself amongst them. Okay, quick digression here to say that there are absolutely gatekeepers out there who will tell you directly that if you don't use the right materials or techniques or blah 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 blah, then you're not really doing historical costuming. I am not talking about those people. Fuck those people. I'm talking about people who say that anyone can be a costumer in good faith and mean it. It's just that there's this insidious thing that's happening underneath the surface. It's the reason that we can't seem to shake the term influencer. It's not even a thing, it's a disconnect. It's a lack of a thing. It's the little voice inside your head that ignores the "you don't have to do it this way" statement and instead whispers, "but that's the only way it is worth doing." So let me repeat. You can make costumes if you have money and/or time and/or health. Notice the and/or modifier I throw in there? This is where we come to the concept of trade-offs. No one can have everything, but what we can and can't have is not always in our control. If you have infinite money, or even just a little bit more than enough money, buying natural fiber fabrics from an independent seller isn't a problem. Nor is the price of your sewing machine, antique or modern, nor the high-quality research materials. But Liz, I hear you say, what about thrifting, hand sewing, and the internet? Here's where we meet our first compromise. If you don't have money, you need time. Believe it or not, thrifting is a skill. The ability to identify fabrics, approximate yardage, rifle through piles of clothes and fabric, and spot the good picks, these are learned skills, and it takes time to learn them. Even if you have them, it takes time to find the items that will actually work for you in what is a sea of materials, definitely not organized with sewists in mind. Not to mention the need to be proximate to a thrift store, which quickly requires transport of one kind or another beyond your own 2 feet. And hand sewing. Well, yes, hand sewing is great for historical practice. I find it very relaxing. But no one will ever argue that it takes much longer than machine sewing. If you're trying to get a start on a social media platform, how many pictures can you post of the exact same costume that you've been working on for days or weeks? Take a close look at the social media posts of the creators who sew things by hand. Are they posting a lot? If they do, are the images from previous photo shoots, costumes, and events? That requires a backlog of previous projects and events, and that takes time to develop. And the internet, a wonderful resource. It also requires money, for the record. Many wealthy nations, never mind the poorer ones, continue to insist that the internet is a luxury product, not a utility or essential service, which it definitely is. You can go to most public libraries to have access to the internet, but here we run into the proximity issue again, and the time issue. Most libraries put a cap on your allowed time on a machine, and they're only open for certain hours of the day, and many in the last year have been closed to in-person patrons periodically. Even if you have the internet readily available, finding reliable and quality resources online takes time. How much easier is it to just buy a well-researched, well-regarded reference book? It's much easier, but much more expensive. You can research blogs, but those aren't primary sources or even secondary sources. So the compromises continue. Add to all of this being a parent, a family caretaker, a full-time employee, or any number of other things which take up a remarkable amount of time. And let's not forget that all of these things, the things that take money and the things that take time, are also all subject to your health. If you're underemployed or unemployed due to a health issue, as most chronically ill people are, you probably haven't got a lot of available funds, never mind the energy or ability to spend time in a thrift store or endlessly sifting through the internet. We're all limited, and so we all compromise. Our compromises come in a huge variety of sizes, shapes, and colors. They're public and private, internal and external, big and small. All of the above factors are also influenced by your race, class, gender, sexual orientation, and geographic location. When I said, I've been thinking about compromises lately, that was kind of a lie. I'm never not thinking about them. Every day, I'm racking my brain about how to make our compromises easier, more palatable, and less demoralizing. I'm trying to change my attitude about my compromises at the same time that I am trying to reduce the number of ways we have to make them as a society in general, especially those who are most vulnerable. I'm working on it, but I know that we can all work harder. Let's try to open those doors and keep them open no matter what, all right? Thank you so much for watching and listening. This video was recorded, edited, and uploaded a little differently than normal. This was my personal experiment to reduce, in as many ways as possible, the amount of equipment, money spent, and paid services I usually use to make my videos. I intended to demonstrate here that it is possible to make a good video with fewer resources. It is meant to encourage people who assume that money is the key when there are other ways of doing it. I am not in any way implying that it proves that those who don't do it aren't trying hard enough or are lazy. That's not true. I still have loads of privilege that cannot be artificially turned off in that way. I just did my best. If you still don't have the time or health or other resources at your disposal, that's okay. Hopefully you can rally one or more eventually, maybe not, and hopefully you find another way to express your love of costume, history, and sewing. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. A big thank you to my Patreon patrons and Ko-fi donors who every day help reduce the number of compromises I make in order to create the things that I love. I'm ever so grateful, as always. See you soon!